instead of using a promise, you can also use the modern syntax of async and await. So let's say we are going to create a function that is responsible for fetching data, and instead of this function, we are going to fetch the data. What kind of data are we going to fetch? Let's say we're also going to fetch the random user data. So now we have this API right here. And let's say we want to call the exact same API, which will generate a random user. But if you use the modern syntax of async and await, you need to declare a function as async. By using the async keyword in front of the function keyword, you say this function will be async. Every time you use a fetch, for example, to fetch data from an API, the call is obviously asynchronous. So it takes some time to complete the call. Because if you communicate with an API, you send a request. This request will, for example, be transmitted via your LAN cable or via the air, depending on what kind of device you use. But no matter what you use, transporting this signal takes some time. So you send the signal, request data from the server sends the signal back, and this takes some time again. So in total, you have to wait a little bit until you get a response. The time is not that long, but you have to wait some time. And that is the point. So once you get to this line and you want to fetch the data, it might take a couple of milliseconds, seconds, whatsoever to get the response from this fetch request. So we need to await the response. So by using await, we are saying we have to wait for this response until we can get the data. And now we can say that we want to get the data and store the data instead of this result. So we can say const result is equal to this fetch request. And now let's just console.log this result right here. Now let's also call this function. And now let's run this code right here. And as you can see, we're again getting the entire result. Let's also now delete this data right here. And let's take a look at this inside of our index.html file. So we're getting this response right here. This response again concludes JSON data. So we need to say const data is again equal to result.json because this is JSON data. And as I've said previously, this one here returns a promise as well. So we need to await that one as well. And once we get the data, we can, for example, say that we want to console.log our data. So let's refresh the page. And now we're getting this data. And now we could, for example, access our info.seed if we wanted to, the way we did it before. So info.seed, going to save that one, going to reload the page. And as you can see, we're now getting the seed right here. So this right here is the alternative to using a promise to fetch data, for example. And every time you do something that takes some time, so every time you do something that is asynchronous, you can use async combined with await.